All right, and we are live. Welcome to everybody coming in. We'll be getting started in just a moment. We're happy that you're here today to join us. For anyone who has just joined us, we'll be getting started in just a minute. Just letting people join the meeting first, so we'll be started really soon here. All right, and we saw a comment in the chat from Deborah asking for last week's handout. So we've shared that link in the chat, Deborah. You should be able to see that. Okay, it is 10 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and dive right in. So welcome everyone to today's webinar. We are so glad you could join us. My name is Haley Thompson, and I will be moderating today's webinar. So this presentation is the FamilySearch Family Tree person page and is being presented by Matt Brenneman. Before we get started, we do have a couple of housekeeping items. This class is being live streamed on Facebook, YouTube, and X. And so you will be able to see a recording of this class on the FamilySearch Library Facebook page, as well as the FamilySearch YouTube and X channels for a limited amount of time. We will be posting a link to the handout in the comment section. You should be seeing that. And if you have a question, please post that question into the comment section wherever you're watching. We'll try to answer questions as they come in, and there will also be a question and answer session following the presentation. We do ask that you keep questions focused on today's subject matter. The topic of today's class, again, is the person page on FamilySearch. And so we won't have time to answer questions today that don't apply specifically to the person page, but we will point you to other resources. And so if you ask a question and we feel that we can offer better help in another way, there are online consultations available. There are other options to help get those more specific questions for your tree answered. If you would like to learn more about our webinars and attend more of them, you can learn more by searching for FamilySearch Library webinars on Google or visiting the FamilySearch Library Facebook page and checking out the events that we have there. With that, let me introduce today's presenter. So Matt is an intern on the Slavic team at the FamilySearch Library, and he is in his last semester of his bachelor's degree in family history and genealogy at BYU. He had the opportunity to live in Russia and learn to speak the language there, and so he currently specializes in research in Russia and has recently learned how to research in Poland as well. He's now learning how to research in Czechia. Outside of family history, Matt really enjoys playing soccer, rooting for his favorite sports teams, reading Russian literature, and cooking with friends. And so with that, we will turn the time over to Matt.
Okay, thank you, Haley. So welcome everyone to this webinar. And so the purpose of this webinar is to kind of continue with the FamilySearch Family Tree and the person page. And the purpose is to help you to build your tree with ease through the person page and to collaborate with others and to connect with other family members. And so the objective of this webinar is to help you to learn how to add, edit, and standardize information on an individual on the person page in FamilySearch Family Tree, and to learn the basic features of vital and other information sections in the person page. So the person page is organized into a couple different menu items, and I'll go ahead and show you an example So this is one of my ancestors, Lucille May Wagon, and we're gonna just use her person page today. And so you'll see the menu items on top here. And I'll just briefly explain the different menu items before we go into more depth. So first we have the About menu item, which includes the brief history, photographs and memories, timeline, and other information as you scroll down. And it's basically an overview of everything that you'll find on the person page. Next, we have details. Details includes all the vital information about a person, including their birth, marriage, death, burial materials, any information that has been added and is connected to any information that has been added by any users. It also includes family members, notes and discussions, and also any of the latest changes someone has made to the person page that you can see on the left here, as well as tools. Next, we have sources. Sources have all the attached links to historical records or user uploaded documents. So you can find all of those there. Collaborate is where you can add information or questions that don't seem to fit anywhere else, or to start discussions about a person. And you can find those there under Collaborate. Next, we have Memories, which is all the photos that have been uploaded. And memories include more than photos. You can also add stories, documents, and audio recordings. Then lastly, we have timelines. Timelines is where you can view life events and historical events on a chronological timeline. And you can also customize and toggle the map. And I'll just show you that really quickly. So here you have the map toggle, and so you can turn that on to see a map of all the historical events of the person you are looking at. So I'm just going to go into more detail about these different menu items. So first we'll start with the brief history section on the About menu item. So the brief history is computer generated from the details, the information found on the details section of the person page. And so any information that you've added on the details page will show up here in this brief life history section. But if you would like to add your own or create your own brief life history, you can go to the details page. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you will find brief life history, and you can add it here. So just a couple of, just some advice when writing your own brief life history is you want to keep it concise. Concise summary of key events, including birth, marriage, death, christening, baptism, or any notable achievements or milestones. And just focus on what's most important for this person. As well, so we'll continue on and to a couple other things. So when we go to the details page, sometimes you'll see this message here at the top. And this is an alert note. So if you see something like this, you want to make sure to read these alert notes before you make any changes. And so the way you can read alert notes is you can either press on this hyperlink here, or you can go to collaborate, where all alert notes have been added. And so I added this alert note just as an example. But if you wanted to, if you were working on a person and you wanted to add a note that was urgent, that you wanted other people to read before they made any changes, you can add a note here by just pressing add note. And then you can write a title for your note, and then you can write a description, more detailed description right here. And you have up to 10,000 characters, which is quite a lot. And then you can just check mark this box to make it an alert note that people will see on the details page before they make any changes to that information. But let's say you have some questions, for example, not for this ancestor, but one of my other ancestors was adopted. And we know that her adoptive parents' names were Steele, at least that's what family lore says. And so if I wanted to ask a question like, hey, does anyone know more about the adoption for this ancestor? Or in the case of Lucille May Wagon, we still have some questions about her parents and some half-sibling relationships she may have. I could add questions about that that people can answer and make there. And it's the same thing. You just add discussion, and you write your title, and you write your description. And so these are great tools to help you collaborate with other users who are, who may be family members you may know, or maybe even more distant cousins who are also working on their ancestors on the FamilySearch Family Tree. So next, we'll go into more detail about the details section of the person. So give it a moment to load. All right, there we go. So the first section you'll see is the vitals section. Now the vitals section includes key life events and details that are fundamental to the identity and the genealogical record of this person. So you'll see name, birth, death, burial, sex, and christening, or more commonly known as baptism for some. And you can add that there if it's applicable. And so you'll see that you'll have source. You can attach sources. See what sources have her name or her birth and how many you have. And as we go further down, we have other information like alternate names. So for example, the married name for my ancestor is Davis, and you'll see that here. And she commonly goes by Lucy instead of Lucille. And so that is a nickname that she has. And next you'll have events. And events will include residence, occupation, military service, education, immigrant or naturalization, or any other events that you may want to add. And so we just have a few events here, just residence, but you can add other events like occupation, depending on what you found about your ancestor. And next you can add any facts about a person, and those can include religion, description, physical description, or other facts. For example, here I have the tribe she was a part of, the indigenous tribe, as she lived on the Five Nations Reservation in Oklahoma. And further down, you'll have family members. You'll have her husbands and children, and you'll also have her parents and siblings. So next, I just wanted to go over standardized dates and locations. So standardized dates and locations ensure that all the information is in a consistent format that helps people to be able to better understand what location or date we're looking at, and it also helps with the websites to generate hints and and possible research helps for your person. And so when adding any information, it's always helpful to make sure that the date and the location is standardized. And so I will show you that here. So let's say we want to edit this residence. And so you see that the date is already standardized, but let's say instead of working on a residence, we were looking at her birth. And so often, for example, in the United States, we always put the date before the month. So we'll say 18/1, 1884, while people in other parts of the world, including Europe, they'll always put the month first. So it'll be 1/18, 1884. So to avoid any confusion, we put the date, then the month spelled out like this, and then the year. So that's clear to anyone who sees this information. So when you're inputting information, always try to put in the standardized date. But let's say, for example, I put in 18/1, 1884. Families, the website will be helpful in having that option for you. And it'll populate down here in a drop-down menu. And then you can just click it, and there you go. Same thing with place. Is you want to add place from smallest to biggest. So you'll start with the city, and then the county, if you know it, and the state and country. And same thing if you are typing it in, it will populate a drop-down menu with different options, and it will show up eventually. And then you can pick the option that you want. So with standardized places, it is important to know that sometimes there'll be a location icon that shows up, which is great, but there doesn't need to be a location icon for it to be standardized. And it will, once it's standardized, you'll see this green check mark. So you can go ahead and save that information. And there you go. So we'll go ahead and just talk a little bit about sources as well with some of the time that we have left. And as I said, this is where you'll find all the historical records or data or user added documents. And you'll see the date, then the name of the source, and also the date that it was added. You can also add a detailed view, which will expand the sources so you can see all the information that the source has. And yeah, you can just scroll through and see all the sources. And if you want to add a new source, you can click here on Add Source. And you can add a new, and you can click one of these options. We also have the Memories tab. Now there is a webinar completely devoted to information about memories. And so if you're interested in that, you can look at our webinar schedule to find the upcoming webinar about memories, or see one of our past webinars given about memories as well. And yeah, that is our webinar. Thank you for coming. And we'll now open it up to you and any questions that you may have about the person page.
Awesome. Thanks for that presentation, Matt. That was great. I think two things that I would just emphasize here out of what Matt shared that I think are great to highlight is, one, having those standardized dates and locations. It can be frustrating sometimes when you'll see a little red data error icon on FamilySearch and wondering, wait a second, what's wrong? And sometimes it's those standardized dates and places. And so that's something really good to know about and be aware of. I would also just note that for the locations part, I know that our places team is constantly working on updating those locations based on the historical jurisdictions that things were part of. For example, your town may have been in one county at one time and one county another time. So things to watch out for there, that those things are constantly growing and improving.
Yeah.
I would also just say that collaborate tab, I love that you went over that, Matt, with those alert notes. I've seen that come in really handy, especially for some of the Italian families I've researched, where they might have a child who passes away young, and then the next child, they may name the same thing. And so being able to say, okay, you're going to see two kids with the same name. They're different people. They're different individuals is really helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Haley.
Yeah,
it's really important. And just to emphasize, if the location is not standardized, and an alert note, or not a alert note, but a notification will show up that there is a data error, and so we got to make sure those dates and locations are standardized.
I love it. So now we'll go ahead and take some time to go over any questions that you might have. We'll give you some time to type your questions into the comments section. And so while you're working on that, we have just a few things to mention. Just so everyone's aware, the next class that will be taught by the FamilySearch Library specifically will be Measuring the Masses Part 3, which is about the United States federal census records from 1790 to 1840. So that will be taught on Thursday, February 6th at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, so Utah time zone. We'll be updating the webinars page with the links to those classes soon. And so you can see those on the FamilySearch Library classes and webinars library page, which is being sent in the chat right now. And finally, we would love to get your feedback on the presentation. And so we'll send a link to a survey in the chat in just a moment as well. And so you'll be able to see that and give us your feedback. Tell us about things that you liked and things that you'd like to see in future webinars. So we're getting some questions now. We'll go ahead and dive in here. And so we did get a question from Beth on StreamYard asking about links to future webinars. And so just to answer that question, we will be getting the February schedule up soon. And so you'll want to check back on the FamilySearch Library's website to see links to those webinars as they come through in these next couple of weeks. And so we've actually got a great tip here from Joyce on Facebook. She says, when you're standardizing the date, be sure to click on the gray calendar for it to finish standardizing. Matt, do you want to go ahead and show that? I think that's a great comment from Joyce.
Sure. So yeah, we'll press on the pencil icon to edit information. Then we'll press edit again. And
yeah, so seeing how you've got that drop down as you're putting things in, it gives that little gray calendar icon. I think that's what Joyce was referring to for being able to get that standardized option, or it'll just keep whatever you wrote.
Yeah. So yeah, and you can just press on the calendar right there and it will save.
Awesome. Thanks for showing that,
Thank
Matt.
you.
And thank you, Joyce, for your tip. That's a great comment. All right. We have a question from Cheryl on StreamYard. She is asking about how you can link a source from your sources tab onto your details page. So how we have marked like however many sources next to an event or a piece of information. How does that work?
Yeah, great question. So depending on which information you want to add a source to, so let's, for example, I want to add a source to burial. I'll press on the pencil icon. And then here on the top right, we'll have tag sources. And so we'll press on tag sources, and you can scroll through the sources that you have on the person page. So for example, I'll press on this Social Security Death Index. I can press on tag to burial. And then once you're done tagging sources, you can press close. And that will be there. And there you go. It's tagged, and you can exit out of there. And there will be more sources tagged to that information.
That's awesome. Thanks for showing that, Matt. I think those tags can be so helpful for clarifying what we're working with and what sources are providing the information for those different pieces. Now, if you could actually scroll down to the family section for just a minute, Matt. One thing that I think is worth noting here, so marriages you tag just a little bit differently because it's an event taking care of more than one person. So if you were to click on that pencil icon there, then what we'll see here is that you can add information for events, you can add facts. And so this might be more the section and getting down here into the sources and notes where you might mention those different resources that have provided the information. So marriages are a little bit unique there. I figured I would just throw that one out there in case you get stuck.
Yeah, good to know. Thank you, Haley.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Matt. All right, let's see here. We have another question here from YouTube where the question being asked is, what is the source box?
Yeah, so the source box is just a place where you have saved any historical records uh, as you have just browsed the website, FamilySearch. So, um, so let's say you're just researching, you're going to search and going to records, and you come across a great record, but you're not sure if it's correct or who to attach it to. You can just add it to your source box um, and save it for later, essentially, so you don't have to go back and research for it again. And so once you finally understand, okay, this is the person I want to attach this source to, when you are attaching sources, you can just attach from Sourcebox, and then click on the selected source that you want to attach.
That's awesome. And if you want to see what's in your source box from somewhere other than someone's personal page, you can find that just underneath your username up there in the top right corner.
Yeah.
There's a section for your source box there.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah, the source box is a good resource. It makes it a little easier to bounce between people when you have a source that applies to more than one person.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Now, we have a question from Cheryl in StreamYard. She is asking about the new quality score feature that we're seeing on some of our Family Search person pages. And so we're going to be posting a blog article in the comments section in just a moment, but tell us a little bit about that, Matt.
Yeah, great question. So the quality score just shows you just how well researched this person is. And so you want to aim to have a high quality score. And so if you go to the quality score details, it will just show you data completeness, source consistency, if there's any conflicts in the data, or source tagging. And so if you don't have a lot of information, or depending on the quality of these different characteristics, the quality can be lower or higher. And if you have any more questions or thoughts about it, you can learn more about it here. And you can also send in feedback, since it is a new part of the Family Search person page.
That's awesome. Thanks for showing that, Matt. I've noticed in my research that it gives me something measurable to go off of, which is nice, where I might think, okay, I've gotten some good information in here, but it helps me to see where I can improve, kind of the specific areas that I can be looking, which is cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's keep going through here. Ooh, Anna from YouTube asks a good question. She asks, is your information for searching for family members on Family Search in all countries?
Yeah. Well, it depends. So the information in the historical records on Family Search, a lot of it is available to members throughout the world. But some of the information and databases that we use are only accessible through through Family Search centers. If you go to specifically a Family Search center and use it, and so it just depends. But I would say in general, a lot of information and historical records that you find on the website are available to all the users from their home.
Yeah. And I mean, there are family search centers throughout the world. There's also documents coming from all over the world.
Yeah.
So if you have ancestors from various parts of the world, then there are pretty good odds of finding them. It does depend on which archives we've worked with, things like that, which information is going to be available so far. But if you don't find it today, check tomorrow. We're always getting new things.
Yeah, we're always getting new things, and you can find your nearest family search center by going up here to the locations tab. Yeah, and you can find a center here by just pressing on this icon.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt.
You're welcome.
All right. Another of our users on YouTube is asking a little bit more about the source box. This is the same person who asked what it was in the first place, asking about whether it's just for family search sources or if you can add scanned documents, personal documents. And so, Matt, if you could go to our sources tab again for just a second. And go ahead and click on add source there. And just click on add new source. So right here, if you see the little toggle there where it shows you can add a web link to something, you can also add a memory. So that would be an image of a source. So a scanned document, for example, like you said. Those same options are available creating a source in the source box. And so you should be good to create sources from anywhere, whether it's from our website or another website or connecting to a personal family document that you've scanned. And we've added a link in the chat for that one as well to learn more about the source box.
Yeah. Thank you, Haley.
Yeah, I'm totally fine saying that. I had to look that one up. So you're keeping us on our toes. That was a really good question.
Yeah.
One that I hadn't thought of before, but I think that's awesome. All right. Looks like we should be good. I think we've gotten through all of the questions that we've seen. If you have any more specific questions, if you've noticed that there's something funny on a person page in your own family tree that's a bit more specific to you, please know that we also have online consultation options. We're posting that link in the chat now. And so that's a 20-minute consultation with one of our research specialists to help work with your specific research questions or any issues that you might be seeing on Family Search that we can help to resolve. And so I think that wraps us up for today. So that's all the time that we've got for questions. Thanks for coming. Now, this class has been live streamed on Facebook, YouTube, and X, like we said at the beginning. And so you will be able to see a recording of this class on the Family Search Library Facebook page or on our Family Search YouTube or X channel for a limited amount of time. And so as a reminder, we're sending out the link to that survey again to get feedback for this webinar. And with that, we wish you all a wonderful day. We hope to see you again for our webinar on the 6th.
Thank you for coming.